What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Filsinger Games Character Spotlight with Mike and Brock.
Mike.
I'm Brock, and for 2 weeks in a row, we're joined by Jeff Manning, whoever that
And
is.
no longer sometimes. That's what we call a streak.
2 in a row, back to back.
Uh,
Tonight, we're talking about Buck Steele, who hulks out into Genocide,
whoa.
and Nefarus. Nefarus.
I think it's Nefarus. Nefarus?
I think it's Nefarus.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a play on nefarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mr. Reader of the Handbook, who would you like to start with?
Oh, I don't care. I have no preference. I'm just here to appease.
Well, let's start with Nefarus.
All right. There he is.
Nefarus. He is a colonizer.
Yep, let's check him out.
Oh my gosh, Buck Steele's might be the longest one ever.
I can't wait.
Because it has the double. I'm just doing the background. Forget the rest of that. There's way too much. Nefarus gets like 6 sentences. Buck Steele / Genocide gets like a novel in and of itself. Are you sure you want me to read this?
Nefarus?
Nefarus, we going?
Yeah, go Nefarus.
All right, Nefarus. Deceitful and cunning are the 2 words that best describe Nefarus. After years of siding with the Genesis team against Mandrill, Nefarus has had a change of heart. He has joined forces with the enemy and vowed to help defeat his former friends. Nefarus has joined the colonizers despite his disgust with Toxin, an easy person to be disgusted by. Mandrill is willing to tolerate some dissension as long as his team wins, but secretly he wonders whether he can really trust Nefarus. I wonder why. Interesting name. Nefarus has switched sides once. What's to stop him from doing it again? Nefarus' great leg strength gained during the Omicron event makes his ordinary leg moves very deadly. Nefarus is a wrestler with great potential, but will he be overshadowed and overwhelmed in a feud against the unpredictable Buck Steele and Genocide? There you go. He also he feuds with Buck Steele, Genocide, Max Shield, Wraith, and Vertigo.
Okay.
So a little bit everybody if they're on the Genesis team.
So he got good legs from the Omicron event.
He got strong legs.
Which gave him a -3 agility.
He's got a scissor driver.
It's a Hurricane Rana-like move from the back.
Nefarus has extraordinary power in his legs to the mutant ability he gained in the Omicron event. When the opponent is hurt and struggles to his feet, Nefarus falls down to the mat on his back. He grabs a scissors grip on his opponent's neck and then violently whips him headfirst into the mat with the powerful leg muscles. Which actually, there's like a, I don't know, typo here where it just stops at MUS dash. It doesn't actually say muscles and doesn't ever finish. It just says must. At least on the online version.
Huh.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, it's like he's laying on his back and does a Hurricane Rana.
It's impressive. Reverse, though. Right? No, I guess it could be either way.
Yeah, for me, he lost against Buck Steele. I had them feud each other. He's only been in, wrestling 3 years. He feuded Wraith, and he drew against him, and Blacklash, and he drew against him.
Why are your early classics guys still there?
Because I bought the sets, and I had already passed early classics, and I wasn't going to restart, so I introduced them into my feds.
How do you pass early classics when you still have KO Keller and Backlash and all those guys?
Because when I was playing, it was like 20 years later they came out with that set.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to restart.
So you just don't have a 2074 to 2086.
No.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is you don't have an early. You didn't already play it.
Yeah.
There's never a better time than right now to start playing early classics.
It's true. They're colorizing them.
Buy the colorized version.
And I wasn't going to go and
this show is not sponsored or endorsed by Filsinger Games,
but we give a thumbs up to that set.
We do.
Okay, I'm sorry. I will say one of my my squabbles here is that people often, you didn't do it, you did it right, but a lot of people pronounce blacklash as backlash. I see it a lot on the
Yeah,
board
yeah.
and stuff,
I
and
see
I'm
that
like,
too.
there's an L in there, right? So thank you, Mike, for being on point, even though you're in 2105 and he debuted in
He's
2074.
probably dead.
He was supposed to be eliminated from the Fed in like 2076, but whatever. We're not talking about that now. I mean, at least you don't have the same guy teaming with the same guy.
Hey, they had different names. They look different.
Anyway,
He did capture a singles title. He captured a secondary singles title in the NGA, so he did do that.
who doesn't?
I know.
When you got 48 titles, everyone gets one.
That's true. You got to share.
Let's just make a small list of all the people that haven't held a title in one of your pets.
But it's you can see them gradually climbing. That's how they get the titles. So they get the titles and they get enough points and they can move
So
on.
you're gonna lose so many followers this week. I'm over it. People are gonna be like, never have that
If we
guy
have
on
any
again.
left from last week,
Go Mike and
After
Brock and
that-
never Jeff.
the Hanna-Barbera hating from last week.
That's Hanna-Barbera bashing. I'm surprised you didn't mention Captain Caveman. Anyway. So he lost all his feuds for you because you use people.
No, he's only lost one and he drew the other two.
Oh, okay. So he drew with Wraith.
And he drew against Blacklash.
Blacklash.
He's got a solid card.
He does.
This card is very solid. Just looking at it now. Probably never used it, but
Lost to the shuffle.
And in 2105, he has a decent tag partner.
we'll get there.
We'll get there eventually, but yep.
He just he just looks like a dude. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he looks to be a bit of a badass. So
yeah.
I mean, I assume that's a leather jacket, right?
He looks like he could be Prodigy's older brother.
Maybe he's wearing like a Sting trench coat situation here.
He looks like he's coming to help you with a flat tire along the side of the road.
Yeah, I don't think I'd trust him.
Look at that smile.
Is that a smile? That's a nefarious smile.
There you go.
He's a tow truck driver who goes by the name of Dave.
Yeah.
All tow truck drivers carry a gun. I just putting that out there.
I would.
I don't know about him. I haven't got to use him yet, so sorry, guys.
We might have to change our format here.
We might.
Because
Like,
Mike's going to be caught up in a few years.
Go ahead and just post in the comments your results with Nefarus. Let us know how you did in yours, because
I can play with these cards on stream. Like, oh, we're going to do Nefarus and Buck Steele this week. I was do a series of 10 matches between them.
Why even do that? Just go on COTG Online and do the quick simulator.
I don't want to buy these cards again. I already own them.
I could have 100 matches with them in a matter of seconds.
That's not fun to me.
It's not to me either, but I'll be like, well, he did exceptionally well in mine. He won 58 of the matches.
That's not exceptional.
He was.
It's majority.
I'll give you that.
So yeah, he's doing okay. He didn't wrestle long with what's his name, Mandrill. I broke them up relatively quickly.
What? You went off the book?
Yeah, I know.
Mike
Mandrill joined a giant Anyman team that tried to take over the GWF, so he threw them off to the side.
But he had nice legs.
Probably does.
Put him in animal legs. They're mutated.
Yeah. You don't get to see his leg.
He could be an Ant-Man. That was rude.
He could have big, giant, like, horse legs. Maybe he's a centaur. We don't know.
This is just going off the rails.
A centaur with 2 legs.
I'm out. It's been fun,
sorry.
guys.
It's getting late.
He's got a +2 finisher.
He does.
Twice.
The scissor driver. He's got that no level 2 move on level 3. He's got death jump at number 1.
Yep.
So he's gonna keep you down. He's got a 4-1 pin. 2 downs on his card. Very solid guy.
If he makes it to the GWF, he'll be a very good TV, contend for the TV title.
Which is the lowest tier in yours, right?
Yes.
Because there's 18 tiers and 38 titles. It just grows every time I say it.
I think he could compete for the mid card title, the interplanetary title with this card.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty solid card. The raw rating comes in at 40-43, so
that's pretty dang good.
Yeah, it's up there.
It's even a fluke, maybe title contender.
Yeah, I mean there's not much weakness on this card.
I think what we're running into though in this era is there's a lot of strong cards.
Yeah, the power creep is.
There's no one really overpowering, but a lot of strong ones.
Mm-hmm.
I run a thing called the Grand Championship at the end of every year, and it's all the wrestlers from all the feds going to one massive tournament, and he plays top 16.
Yeah, I believe it. This is a decent card. Like you don't look at it like, oh, it's overpowered, but
dare you say it was a sweet 16?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
He's got a -3 agility, a 0 power, so he was probably going to win most agility matchups, and about 50-50 on the power. So, yeah, he's
solid.
Mm-hmm.
Not impressive, but solid.
Yeah, he'll get the job done
most of the time.
I'm going to build my whole new Fed around Nefarus.
I like it.
He's my guy.
I don't know why you didn't think of that sooner. He looks like a regular guy. He could have shopped at a comic book store.
That's probably why I like him so much.
He's got the same facial feature as Broc, Got the little goatee happening.
Yeah, I never trusted Broc either. He's always doing something
that could be me if I had a goatee.
Yeah. Highly inappropriate.
Oh no, I'm out of focus.
Dare you say that Nefarus might be a jerk?
He might be a jerk. I need to get back in focus.
Broc just got lost in the shuffle.
I did. Let me see. There we go.
There he goes.
There we go. Just reboot the camera.
All right. That'd have taken me all night to reboot the camera. I'm nefarious when it comes to my
I'm a technical support specialist is my title. So
wow.
Yes. Specialist.
Appreciate you.
Did you turn it off and turn it on again?
You know what? That works 95% of the time on all technology. So
and that's not a stat he just made up.
No,
That's legitimate statistics.
It is. This whole Windows thing that happened a couple weeks ago where it shut down airplanes and stuff, all he had to do was turn it off and turn it back on again.
Just like Friday.
And this is where I have to explain to Jeff that we record ahead of time.
Oh, yeah, a couple weeks ago. Tape delay. I feel like I'm in Canada. I'll see this in a decade.
Should we power creep this guy?
You could.
I mean,
you could.
He doesn't. I mean, there's nothing glaring that needs to be changed.
No, you could up his finisher to a +3.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him another straight through level 3 move on 2. Give him 3. That seems to be what every card has now.
What's his power at right now?
0.
-1 really wouldn't really change anything. He's just a happy-go-lucky. I think I could go get a donut with him in the morning. He seems all right.
See? This guy was at Galacticon.
He's not buying the donuts, though, I can tell. But he'd go for one.
We can switch to Buck Genocide.
We got 2 cards to cover here. No Mount Rushmore tonight, folks.
Buck Steele's probably not his real name. I'm just throwing it out there. Sounds fake.
From the legendary Steele wrestling family. Patriarch Jim Steele.
His great-great-grandfather, Jim. Buck Steele powder blue t-shirt coming to you soon. You heard it first.
This was a character I can say I did create.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Way back when. I think it was Galacticon maybe 3. I gave Tom this character. Except he was called Vengeance Jones.
Well, he ripped off the Vengeance name too.
So he stole two things from you.
Wow.
Yeah, because I remember I showed Tom my bootleg, and I'm like, I made an Incredible Hulk character. Tom's like, how did you do that? I'm like, so he had a 3-pin. I said when his pin hits 6, so if he gets pinned 3 times and he doesn't lose, then he bumps up to the next character. Except it went in 3 stages, so 7 through 9, and then after that he was an unstoppable monster.
So if you're tuning in, Mike technically invented Pokemon.
He did.
Evolutions.
Evolution.
This
Evolution.
predates Pokemon.
I want to say Galacticon 3, so I will.
But yeah, I talked about this on one of the early roll-ups back when they used to run that show.
Mm-hmm.
Long time ago.
Long time ago.
You really want me to read about Buck Steele and Genocide?
You don't have to. I know you don't want to.
Oh, you know I want to. I don't want to lose followers by reading this much. I feel like Andy Kaufman, like reading a book to a bunch of college kids. Like I'm just reading it as long to see how long you guys will put up with it. All right, I gotta clear my throat for this one.
Here we go.
Look out, GWF. Here comes the most incredible newcomer in the history of wrestling. Did you think that the last member of the incredible Genesis team would just be a minor character that we'd throw together to finish off the team? Well, forget it. Buck Steele and Genocide are ready to take the GWF by storm in 2102. Buck Steele worked closely with Max Shield, Wraith, and Vertigo, and Nefarus for that matter, to overthrow the evil dictatorship of Mandrill. Steele is a gifted amateur boxer who has traveled all over the galaxy to fight on boxing cards. In fact, Buck lost by TKO in a 4-round match against Billy Joe Boxer at Aerial Armory in 2099.
Wow.
He just lost a lot of credit for me. He lost to Billy Joe. Come on.
Billy Joe's the greatest wrestler in GWF history.
Anyway, the Omicron event definitely had a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde effect on Buck, but he didn't know it until he was sentenced to the Forbidden Zone in 2101 by Painmaster. Arrested for alleged criminal acts, which really meant that Buck dared to challenge the authority of Mandrill. Buck was sentenced to a region on Omicron that is essentially a wild jungle cut off from civilization. Without a weapon or food supplies, the sentence is certain death. To be sure that Buck would meet his demise, Painmaster flew him to dead center of the Forbidden Zone with no hope of survival.
Wow.
After a few days of wandering, looking for a way out, Buck came face to face with a deadly wild animal. The creature pummeled Buck to the ground and began to deliver butts to Buck's body. It says deliver butts to Buck's body. I'm just reading it. That's what it says. The adrenaline flowed, and suddenly Buck felt himself growing larger. Sorry. His hair grew longer and his clothes ripped apart. Suddenly, he was no longer Buck Steele, but a different man altogether. He fought off the wild animal and proceeded to survive in the Forbidden Zone long enough to find an escape route. Genocide is a different person than Buck Steele. Genocide is wild and out of control. His favorite expression, I'm hyper, man, is due to a constant adrenaline surge while he is Genocide. Buck Steele and Genocide cannot control their transformations. Most of the time, Buck is in his normal state and only transforms when he is under great physical stress. When he becomes Genocide, he loses control and pounds on anything nearby. Genocide changes back to Buck Steele as soon as the physical trauma has passed, moments after the end of a match, when his body can no longer stand the physical exertion that Genocide's wild moods require. Genocide's main weakness as a wrestler, if he has one, is a tendency to be disqualified too often. He takes the match outside the ring every chance he gets, and often the result is an out of control brawl. When a wrestler signs a match against Buck Steele, he never knows whether he'll only fight Buck Steele or whether Buck will transform into Genocide. It's a bizarre situation never before seen in the GWF or anywhere, and adds an element of total unpredictability to Buck's matches. Buck's main feud is against the traitor Nefarus, who will certainly have his hands full against Buck Steele and Genocide. His best bet is to defeat Buck Steele before the transformation can occur, which is certainly easier said than done. In order to defeat Buck, you've got to hurt him enough to pin him. But when he's hurt, Buck usually becomes Genocide. What a catch! How long will it be before Chaos challenges Buck Steele to a match to see who's stronger, Chaos or Genocide? Note, Buck Steele always wrestles at the start of the match, and Genocide can only appear after pin attempts on Buck. And that doesn't even include the finishers for both of them or how Buck Steele turns into Genocide explanation.
Was I the only one that sounded where it sounded like when he was turning into Buck Steele just became like the part of a gay porn? That
I
fits
mean,
with
it
bondage?
definitely said the creature pummeled Buck to the ground and began to deliver butts to Buck's body. It's Butts. And this is the adrenaline flowed, and suddenly Buck felt himself growing larger. His hair grew longer and his clothes ripped apart. That's just excellent writing.
It is a
Excellent.
little
I love
erotic, but it's okay.
little erotica. How old were you when this set was released?
Me, I was 13,
Here.
12 or 13.
Yeah,
Uh,
I didn't get the homoerotic underlays of this story until I just heard it again.
it just takes a good reader.
Yeah,
For a certain fee, I will read any novel for you.
you're the new Mark Ashby.
Yeah,
There you go.
somebody's got to be. 50 Shades of Mace is my next reading. Anyway,
Now,
yeah, I was excited for this character to come along, though. I think it is an interesting take on something that a different card mechanic.
I did use this guy a lot in my bootleg fed.
whoa,
He'd hardly ever transformed for me, though.
Sounds like a you problem.
I know, right? I probably didn't understand how to do it right.
You didn't have him get butted enough.
Yeah.
were they a tag team?
No, they should have been.
Buck
They'd have
Steele
been
should've-
dominant. That's a good idea. A Cronus tag team. Buck Steele and Genocide. That's a really good idea.
Now with Buck Steele Genocide, he beat Nefarus. He drew against Splatter.
A lot
And
of DQs there.
yeah, and as a big shocker, he lost against Zoing Mao, the big panda creation from GWFZ.
Is that a Jim Steele creation? I think it is.
It is.
It's a Jim Steele's creation against Buck Steele.
His
Yep.
his descendant.
I mean, that happens in every relationship in a federation like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he is currently, along with Max Shield, my GWF Tag Team Champions.
Nice.
So they're my current GWF Tag Team Champions. Buck Steele and Max Shield.
Poor Genocide. He doesn't get any respect.
They could have done a split thing with them.
What color do you think Genocide is?
Green.
Yellow. Because I'm looking at his card right now.
I
Oh, is it?
initially thought green.
I just saw him as being flesh colored, like whatever. Buck
You think
Steele.
he's a human?
Yeah, humanoid.
I had him
I thought-
blue.
I thought he turned green. Come on, guys. This is a Hawk character.
I had him turn him blue.
I would even accepted Gray Hawk, but not
Oh,
Not
A hawk.
not
oh,
Hawk Tua.
That's. Oh, here we're adding more to this.
we're gonna have to add a disclaimer.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm gonna have
delivery-
to do a lot of editing on this one.
this was a late night one. This is only appearing on your Cinemax subscriptions.
Yeah,
But-
he gets several more cards.
Isn't there one where he just becomes Steel Freak or something like that?
Yeah, Steel Freak was his last card.
Yeah.
And
I
then
really thought he was green, not just because of the Hulk, but also, I was a big Street Fighter 2 fan. I always appeared kind of like Blanca.
he looks like Blanca's second player colors on the official coloring on
Can you
the
bring it up
wiki.
on screen?
Yeah, I could probably do that.
I've got it.
There we go. That's gonna be quicker. That's player 2 Blanca.
He is. He's like yellow with blue hair.
Yeah.
I really like the imagery. I think we need to point this out. This wasn't on the real card, but on the online they have Buck Steele in the background.
Yeah, that is cool. And then
That's
Buck
pretty cool.
has Genocide in the background.
Yeah, so
They did
I'll
the
bring that
reverse.
up. I will bring that up just for you, Brock, and
Thanks.
Mike too. I
So they
guess.
can reverse the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I guess I never noticed that.
Looks like a tag team to me.
I mean, who else would you want in your background?
Yeah, what he eventually becomes hyper that turns into genocide. So I think that and then finally just goes crazy and becomes Steel Freak eventually. But
I
that's
think this is one of the more interesting characters, though, introduced in a while.
I like gimmicky cards, and this was like one of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
I'm happy he's yellow and blue. I can live with that. The artwork actually looks really nice. I was a little hesitant when you said that. I hadn't looked ahead, but I just always pictured him like Blanca. I honestly thought green body and red hair.
Blanca player too.
Yeah, Blanca Player 2 is what we're calling him now. It's this alternate account, Blanca Player 2. If we ever did worst video games ever, Mike would probably say Street Fighter because I loved it. So
Probably.
we just know we're different people now. Of course, it wasn't released in Canada until 2001, but
Let me pull up a picture of Blanca player too.
I'm just messing with. I can't get over Mike and his picks anymore. I'm just over this. A lot of pressure on you here, Brock.
I'm sorry. All right, here we go. Let me share my screen real quick here. Here's Blanca player 2.
Oh yeah, dead on.
Yep.
But I think he came first, didn't he? The Genocide. Well, not in the colorized version.
Yeah, the colorized version came much later.
Yeah.
So we know where Warner got the idea from.
Oh yeah, probably. Warner's definitely a Street Fighter fan.
Why wouldn't you be? Street Fighter was awesome.
It
I don't think
was.
I don't think it gets enough love because Mortal Kombat got a lot of love. But I
Yeah.
liked both of them.
I played more Mortal Kombat than I did Street Fighter.
See, I played both.
I think Street Fighter was the better game. Mortal Kombat was more intense, I guess.
Mortal Kombat got over because of the blood code.
Yeah.
That was the original and the fatality.
Fatality.
I was explaining to my wife the other day that Mortal Kombat wasn't all bad, and I explained friendships and babalities to her. I was like, see, if you didn't want to hurt them, you could just turn them into a baby, or you could give them a gift.
Yep.
But yeah, she wasn't buying it. She knew I wanted the blood code.
Nintendo didn't have a blood code.
Sega did.
Yep.
That's where it's at. Sega. Love it. I had a Genesis, so I mean, I had a Super Nintendo too.
I had
an
both.
NES, so I'm spoiled, or was.
I had both as well. But...
And I suppose we really can't power creep. You can really.
Oh, you can power creep Genocide. You can turn down his DQ.
There you go.
Boom. Power creeped from the guy that never power creeps.
His raw rating 58-58. No, I'm sorry, 57-57. I was looking at the SC.
Dang.
So he gets you have to get to Genocide.
If you can get to Genocide, he's a title contender.
Is he the highest raw rating so far? 58?
I don't know. We just ordered something at Jeff's house.
Nah, it's looking up China's efforts to obscure the Uyghur genocide. So never mind that. We'll delete that. I am an FBI. I'm not looking up genocide in any way.
Chaos was 59-59 when the Alpha Stone was working. So
which was most of the time. Even though it did never really work.
It was all in its head. Spoiler. I don't think we've gotten there yet.
No, you haven't. No, but Genocide, I mean, you could power creep him too by saying Buck Steele could turn into him on 7 or lower rolls.
Yeah, make it easier to get there. Or after his pin reaches a certain number, like Mike originally suggested.
The book says 8 or higher rolls only. Which
I guess that's that's easy to do.
But once he's Genocide, he stays Genocide. It's not like he goes back. He doesn't revert back.
Not till after the match. Well, immediately.
It's funny because I've used him a couple times, and I've had matches where he doesn't. I don't roll over like a 6 or something, so he gets crushed. But I've also had matches where he gets one pinfall and I roll like a 12.
Uh-oh.
Hulking up.
In like a 2 out of 3 falls match, this got to be unstoppable because you're eventually going to hit that.
It's a whole. Oh, my secret. I'm always angry.
Yeah.
So I'll comment on Brock's 2 out of 3 falls match comment. So I like the unpredictability of wrestling. So like
hmm
in my rumble and stuff, I don't carry over fatigue tokens. I reset when somebody's thrown out because I want the possibility that number one can win.
I ran a Royal Rumble last night or 2 weeks ago on stream, and
Regal Rumble.
I called it the Three Rivers Rumble.
Ah, that's awful. It's Pittsburgh.
It was at Point State Park, right at the
Oh gosh.
confluence. But anyway,
No, but
number two won.
I had played a lot of rumbles because it's my favorite type of match, and I just found that eliminating the fatigue tokens was the only way I was ever going to get a result that the number one or number two entry could actually win.
How often do you actually get eliminated by pin though?
Quite a
Okay,
bit.
when I do a battle royal, I use the higher pin number as
hmm
that number. So I don't, it's a 4-1 type thing, or
You
Yeah,
don't do any tokens.
no, I don't do tokens for battle royals.
That's a good way to look at it. I just
That way I
eliminate
don't
the
have to
tokens.
worry about keeping track of, eight
yeah.
different,
I
10
had a
different guys.
spreadsheet open. I was doing it.
I always keep like a little note open on my phone for
Yeah,
all the tokens, but
I,
then I eliminate them after an elimination anyway. So
yeah, I
Mm.
just use that the bigger base number as my battle royal number.
who
Yeah,
knew? Mike.
last night, whenever I ran this, most of them were just from rolling out of the ring.
Yeah,
But on Out of the Ring, don't you still roll pin?
No.
no, out of the ring means out of the ring on a battle royal.
See, I still roll pin
Mm.
because I think they should have an option to reverse it. I don't think it's an automatic throw out.
Oh, that's an idea too.
I
Yeah,
give
I mean,
them.
I like that because like the eliminations were too easy, I thought.
That's my problem. Is you can have one guy have all the momentum, and then you roll Out of the Ring, and it's like, really, they didn't do it. It's a choice, or if it's a, he's an A on Out of Ring, like,
There's a good chance here. I had two people eliminated on the Into the Turnbuckle chart because because of the three roll on B or whatever it was. They would go out
there's
of the ring.
there's also some really good charts out there for the Royal Rumble created by fans.
Yeah, I might look into some of those because I instead of doing a time interval because I'd never be able to keep track of it because there's so many distractions on a
Yeah.
stream. I just did the suggestion in the new ringside companion where it says every time somebody gets fatigue, somebody else enters. The whole field was in within 20 minutes.
See, I quit. I don't do that. What I do is I randomly select when someone's going to be eliminated, like not a certain individual, but just when someone's going to be eliminated, and
hmm
I only roll during those periods.
Yeah.
And I'll weight it so it's like a certain amount left at the end, or maybe there'll only be two left at the end, but it's weighted in a way that
Yeah.
there might be 8 to 10 people in the ring at the end, but it's not going to be everybody. I make sure that
hmm
when number 7 comes in, there's going to be 2 people eliminated, or a
I,
lot
I
of times I'll
do
use
I
the old
do
WF
rounds.
ones like that.
I do rounds, so I cycle through everybody. So I got to do it like 5 times before someone new comes in.
Yeah, I
There's
think
a
that's what I would do next time.
there's a really good optional rule for battle royals by Cynthia Celeste Miller.
Okay.
Had the battle royals that has a setup, assumptions, procedure, eliminate wrestlers, other rules. Then it goes to an elimination chart and a premature elimination chart that you have to roll
Mm.
into based upon certain things happening. And I really enjoy that. Now I did change it. In her charts, she has like things based on power and agility ratings, whether or not they get thrown out. I
hmm
just do it by pins and I add
Yeah.
tokens because I like the pin. I like to use the pin ratings.
Yeah.
So it's a little different, but I used her chart to implement some of those rules.
Yeah, I just followed the rules written in the ringside companion. I didn't like how like you can just stay on level 3 after you eliminate somebody and just pick another target.
See, I don't do that either. Once somebody's eliminated, it starts like everybody starts back at me, and I
hmm
roll who's going to take control of who.
When I got
Because you
down
got
to
to
the
think of it.
final two, I rolled initiative.
Yeah, you got to think of it as like something's going on elsewhere in the ring.
Yeah,
That
something's going
person,
on.
that person may still be involved, but they're going to roll like everybody else to see who's involved. That's what I typically
Right.
do. I usually use a randomizer, and I'll have my list up of current people in the ring, and I'll just literally put it on the randomizer website and hit randomize real quick.
I tried to hit people that were like feuding or on opposite teams and stuff like that. Like a
Well, I'll keep them separate. I'll usually have like a face and heel
yeah.
with or tweeners. So yeah, it's there's lots of ways to play it. I think I've gotten it the way I like playing it,
hmm
and I do use a lot of WWF results. Like I'll look at a rumble and say, okay, and I'll like emulate Royal Rumble '92 and say, okay, there was a guy eliminated at 3, a guy eliminated at 5, a guy eliminated, and that's when I'll roll.
It's a good idea
I'll just
because they came in way too quick with the fatigue roll.
So I have a full-on list on Excel of all the premium live events, and each one, when I emulate one, I simulate or I randomly draw one that is going to be like my next big card, and that's how I get the randomness. I do include WWF and WCW ones. I don't really include any other federations currently, but I emulate one of theirs.
Okay.
So like my next card, I think you guys have seen some of it. It's going to be a Survivor Series because it's November, but it's emulating the 2002 Survivor Series. That's the one I just happened to land on. So that's why there's an elimination chamber for the title,
Nice.
and there's a tables match and stuff like that they had. So that's kind of how I write mine. I like that. I do the money in the bank things. I just shared that with somebody online recently. They were asking how long or how do you determine when a guy cashes in the money in the bank. I literally have all the lengths of all the money in the bank cash-ins on my phone, and
Hmm.
I'll just randomize it and say, okay, this is when that guy's going to cash in. Is after, there's so many options for them. They've done it.
I wish there was a Money in the Bank chart where like you just start the match automatically on level 3
Well,
offense or something like that.
you have like 280 days, 70 days, 5 days. You got one that's 49 minutes. You got one that's an hour
Yeah.
and 52 minutes. Like it's just there's so many
Hmm.
things. I have all the cash-ins listed out by
Yeah.
length of time. And then when somebody wins that, I put my randomizer in, put those in. Okay, he's going to cash it in 106 days, and whatever card's closest to that day is when I'll cash it in.
So if we can reel you guys back in from your little tangent, our anti-Mount Rushmore are your least favorite sports franchises.
For once, I didn't have to think hard. These are easy.
Let the jealousy begin.
There's a lot of
Okay, Jeff,
hatred.
you're
Lot of
pumped for
hatred.
it. You can go first.
My number one least favorite sports franchise, the Steelers. Obviously, Pittsburgh sucks. The only thing good about Pittsburgh is they do have all their teams in the same color,
Isn't that
black and
cool?
yellow. That is cool. I'll give them props to that. And really, I mean, my envy is my hatred for the Steelers. A lot of it. I hate that they've won so many Super Bowls, and my Browns do not ever win a Super Bowl.
Well, if you ask
But
Sam Liptak, they've won what, 8?
7 NFL championships, but
When there were
no
what,
Super
10
Bowls.
teams, 10 teams in the league.
Technically, didn't Cleveland win one, but they were called Baltimore.
Yeah, that's true too.
You stop.
The year they got out of town.
Technically, they've won 2 as Baltimore anyway, and they had Ozzie Newsome as their general manager, who was a Browns Hall of Famer. But anyway, I'm not bitter. No, Steelers are number one least favorite team. I think they're awful. I think they play dirty. I think that I dislike them wholeheartedly.
They haven't played dirty in years.
They play dirty all the time. Anyway,
They haven't won a Super Bowl since they quit playing
and
dirty. But
when I think we've discussed before, when they drafted Ben Roethlisberger, it made me angry because I went to Miami and I watched him play several times his senior year, and I was like, he's going to be awesome in the NFL. And then when the Browns didn't take him with their pick, I knew exactly where he was going because the
was
teams
was
between
that
them
the
and the
Tim Couch
Steelers.
year?
No, you're way off. Couch was 99.
There's so
Roethlisberger,
many failed first round quarterback
Roethlisberger
picks.
was 2004. No, this is better. We went with Kellen Winslow.
Oh,
And he wrecked his motorcycle. Um, we drafted a tight end. Roethlisberger went the same year as Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers.
okay.
But no, when the Browns picked, I think we had the 7 pick. The Steelers had the 11, and I looked at the teams in between, and I'm like, no one's taking him until the Steelers, and I could see it coming because I was watching that drive, and I'm wearing my Miami University Ben Roethlisberger jersey, and I'm like, no, because I knew he was going to be awesome, and then he, of course, multiple Super Bowls for the Steelers, who I hate. But anyway, the
It's all
Ravens are
good.
number 2, obviously, because they stole my team and then they won 2 Super Bowls. They can die. That's a bit harsh,
Wow,
but
wishing death on the Ravens.
not the players, just the team. The team can go to the wasteland, not the players. I have nothing against the players. They're not, whatever. But the Ravens are second least favorite. St. Louis Cardinals in baseball are my least favorite. I hate Yadier Molina. I really like Albert Pujols and I liked Ozzie Smith, but as a team, as an organization, I hated the Cardinals.
They're on my list too. Don't feel bad.
Next would be, and this is just gonna, I guess, because it's a Mount Rushmore, this is gonna be the end of the list. But I have several honorable mentions if we get into it. Mainly baseball. I don't hate. So I think as I made this list, I don't really hate any NHL teams. I don't really hate any NBA teams. There's ones I dislike more than others, but I don't hate them. It's all football and baseball for me. I dislike the Yankees because of the heavy spending and the braggadocio and everything they
hmm
are.
hmm
I hate the Dodgers to the same effect, and
hmm
they were in the
hmm
same division as the Yankees or as the Reds for a while, which are my team. The Reds were in the NL West
It made
for a
no
while
sense
now.
geographically.
No, but they had to face the Dodgers, who now have the payroll that the Yankees used to be like.
hmm
Um, and I also, of course, hate the Cubs because they call Great American Ballpark Wrigley South. They travel well, and I can't stand them. And I used to be able to say at least they never won a World Series, but then they did in 2016, so that is disappointing. And then lastly, of course, the Pirates. Although I will say the Pirates,
How can you hate the Pirates?
I didn't hate the
They're just so
Pirates.
sad.
Hold on. I've got an explanation. This isn't a Flintstones type of debate or Scooby Doo or anything. This is the Pirates, and here's why I can't stand Clint Hurdle. I didn't hate the Pirates until they had Clint Hurdle. When they
He's not
had
there
him,
anymore.
I know, but there was a whole slew of things that happened between them and the Reds at the time.
Yeah, because they beat the Reds and
And
Cueto
I
got
I
hiked
can't
out.
stand. Oh yeah, and Amir Garrett beat up the whole Pirates team. We've seen it. The pictures are out there. Um, Literally threw his glove down and rushed their dugout and came out unscathed. Anyway, yeah, Clint Hurdle really. There's other things I hate. I'm gonna say Ryan Braun is on the list as a player, but I don't hate the Brewers, and I don't like Chase Utley at all. In case you're wondering. And I'm not a huge fan of the Phillies either, but they didn't make the list because I have so much disdain for these other teams.
Okay.
So there you go. You can't even Mount Rushmore's Steelers, Ravens, Cardinals, Yankees. Just for clarity, honorable mention would probably go to the Cubs if I had to name one.
Okay. So who do you got, Brock?
I'm gonna go with the Washington Capitals because Ovechkin isn't anywhere near as good as Crosby. For the Yankees are on my list too. The spending is ridiculous. And then I never really like the Pirates. Never really contended with them or anything like that. It just ruined baseball for me in general. I think the
I think
spending.
that's how the Yankees were with me. I don't have any problem with them necessarily as far
Mm-mm.
as they're not a competitor for my team. It's just they ruined the game. Like you
Yeah.
said, the salary cap went out the window. There is no salary cap
hmm
in baseball. I know, and it's like it's insane.
Yeah.
So I
It's just
think
not fair.
The Yankees have to be the most polarizing team in all of sports. Either you love them or you hate them, and I think most people hate them.
hmm I think so. Unless you're in New York, there's a lot of
Unless
people
you're
in
in
New
New York.
York.
Or you're a bandwagon Cowboys, Lakers, Yankees fan, like I know some people that grew up in that era. Like, oh, that's who
Yeah.
I like. Like, no, duh.
Uh-huh.
Anyway,
Chicago Cubs also on my list.
yes,
Like once they finally won a World Series, like okay, now can we stop talking about them?
yeah.
Because it's
You can cease to exist now.
yeah, it's like whatever. That was their story. Steve Bartman was a hero.
It's all how you look at it.
Yeah.
Go Marlins.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna put the Lakers on there. I don't even like basketball, but I just never liked the Lakers because it just seemed like it's like a Yankee situation almost, where like the most popular players ended up there, and I liked all the players. I just didn't like that they were all on the same team.
You could go for the same with the Celtics. I mean, Celtics
Yeah.
Lakers have to be the most
Took your
disliked
mouth.
teams in basketball. Uh, the only other team you can make an argument in recent history is the Heat when they did
Yeah.
their super team.
Yeah.
hmm
Wayne
And
Wade, Chris
the
Paul.
LeBron Lakers are not enjoyable either, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's
But
what I would like right now, like drafting his son and all that
And
stuff.
who's your honorable?
The Phillies,
yeah, there you
we'll
go.
call them the Filthies.
Chase Utley
The
sucks.
Philadelphia Flyers, any Philadelphia team,
They're all dirty.
those Filthies,
Stay on the east side of Pennsylvania.
right?
See, okay,
We're
here's
close.
mine.
We're close to Ohio.
I'm going with the Yankees because the AL East.
They made every list.
I have to deal with them constantly. My second would be the Lakers, but that's because I grew up watching, Bird Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
That was a heated rivalry. That was now an amazing rivalry, but it just made you hate them all the more. My number three, being a Blues fan, the Chicago Blackhawks. The Norris Division battles we had with those guys, and then
Mm-hmm.
they're always they're relatively, close. It's only up the road a few hours.
Yeah.
And so now I love the Blackhawks logo. It's one of the best logos in hockey, but I just do not like the team.
So you're close to them not being a team. I mean, you got the Commanders now in football. It's only a matter of time for the Blackhawks to become something else, or at least they change their logo.
And then I'm going to have to go with the Ottawa Red Blacks in the CFL.
We only
Just
stick to the major four sports.
probably the worst name in all of.
The Red Blacks. They couldn't even decide on a color.
What
No.
about the Tie Cats?
And then my number one most hated team of all time, the Montreal Canadiens. Cannot stand them guys.
It's easy to hate Canadians.
Hate them with every fiber of my being. Now I'm wearing a Quebec Nordiques jersey. I mean, sweater. So that's it. That's it's not just a hatred of that province, but it's just a hatred of that team.
Fair enough.
We just got a province mentioned on the podcast. I'm happy. It's like a state, only colder and bigger. It might as well be Eastern Alaska. I don't
know. That would be my anti, most disliked teams.
So you took my hockey selections because I didn't make hockey selections. So
Yankees across the board.
Yankees across the board. All Yankees are the most hated team, hands down, in America and North America. We're gonna include you up there. So you have to include.
It's funny because when I started watching baseball, this was back in probably 80, 85. I started just kind of watching it, and Dave Winfield was on the Yankees. And it was like, I like this, he was a good player, and I started watching him. So I actually ended up getting a Yankees jersey. And so I started being a Yankees fan. And then somebody stole my Yankees jersey.
Try to burn it.
And I was upset. And so my mom picked me up a Toronto Blue Jays shirt. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So, and that's literally all it took for me to
switch fandoms.
Switch fandoms.
That's funny. Like I just remember like those early 2000s where they were in the World Series like every year.
Yeah.
I would always root for the National League, even if it was a team I didn't like.
Just no, I remember, I could go, Man U, because I do watch some Premier League soccer. I'm a Chelsea fan, so I'm not a Man U fan.
My son's a Newcastle fan, so we watch a lot of Newcastle. Chelsea had a Christian Pulisic at least.
They've had, last time I saw them win the Premier title was probably about 10 years ago.
I've only been into the Premier League for the last like 2 or 3 years, so it's all been dominated by Man City.
Yeah. And I know
Sorry, Broc, I don't know if you watch.
And I know P. Beck follows Arsenal.
Hey, my son owns stock in Man U because it's the only publicly traded one. He's like, it's not Newcastle. I'm like, I know, but they're not sold publicly.
That's funny.
But we can wrap this one up. Put a
all
bow
right.
If you're a Yankees fan, feel free to follow. We've already burned you today. We will not add you to another podcast. This was our least favorite teams.
There's no Yankee fans that watch this.
But
I can think of at least one.
I do not hate the Cubbies, unlike the other two guys here.
Well, you should.
I mean, it's just my sister's a big Cubs fan, and she was all obsessed with them winning the World Series, and now I don't think she cares now that they've won one. I think that's all they wanted. Was that one?
I don't like them because I go to a lot of Reds games. I've been to a lot of Cubs Reds games. They do travel well as a fandom.
They do.
It's about a 5-hour trip for them, and they call Great American Ballpark literally Wrigley South because of how much
offensive.
Yeah, so when I'm there at the stadium, it's not really the team I hate. It's more the fans in that general. Like they're so obnoxious. Fans can get to you.
Mm-hmm. Steve Bartman, American hero.
I've been to Wrigley Field once. It was neat. Like it's because it's such a historical stadium.
Hmm.
See, when I think American heroes, I think George Washington, I think Joey Chestnut, and I think Steve Bartman. he's in a rare class.
He is. That poor guy had to leave.
I know they booed him out of the stadium. Well, probably couldn't come back in ever again.
He had to leave the city.
Yeah,
Like he had to completely relocate.
they had one of those shows. I don't know if you remember when I think it was the Best Damn Sports Show or whatever. They did the 10 reasons why you shouldn't blame Steve Bartman for the
Hmm.
Cubs' loss. They always did those like I think it was 10 reasons. They had these one
Yeah.
spin-off series, but it
He
was really
gave up
good.
8 runs after that.
Yeah.
Or
And
whatever it was.
Moises Alou wasn't catching that
He
anyway.
was too busy peeing on his hands.
He threw a big fit like, "Oh, I would have had it." That was just protecting him from not
Yeah, he
making the
wasn't.
catch.
He didn't have a play on it.
He
Oh,
wasn't going to make it.
Steve Bartman still lives in Chicago.
They
As
really.
well he should, except for it's a dirty city.
Is he recognized as an American hero there?
I will give you props, and I've said this to you before, so I'll say it again. Pittsburgh is a beautiful city to visit. I really like driving through the mountain and there's the city and the rivers and the stadium and everything. I will give you that. And everybody in the baseball community that I've talked to really loves Three Rivers and says it's a great stadium.
And all their bridges are yellow.
Yeah.
They are.
I just went through West Virginia and they have side by side bridges where one's yellow and one's blue.
That's neat.
Mountaineers. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Just throw that in there. But no, Pittsburgh, I mean, I've visited it a few times. It's actually I like the city.
It's a tough city to navigate, honestly.
Do not like their sports teams.
The stadium is beautiful. That's one of the
PNC Park is the best. It's still ranked number 1.
Yeah, it
this year's
gets
list.
all the love.
Yeah.
I called it Three Rivers. Sorry, guys.
That got imploded.
Still
You and
Three
your-
Rivers to me, damn it.
You and your sponsorships.
Well, Heinz Field is now a dumb name. Acrisure.
Well, I will say that's one thing that the Reds actually have pretty good is their sponsor is Great American, and it makes it sound like a legit ballpark. It's not just
Right.
a company, although it is just a company.
Yeah,
This
works.
is a good name. It works better than most of them.
Hmm.
Bengals have Paycor now. Paycor Stadium. Parkour. All right, I'll let you wrap it up.
it's
Sorry
hard
for
to-
getting sidetracked. Whenever I'm here, the episodes are going to be longer. I'm sorry if I cost us any followers.
We went over an hour on our
I will not
Galacticon recap, so
I will not come back again. I'm sorry.
people are expecting it, I think. All right, everybody. While you're here, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you still haven't done that. And scroll on down to the description where you'll find all of our friends who make Filsinger Games related content, including the official Filsinger Games podcast Roll Up, the Legend Team's Uncharted Territory, Dizzy Dice from Lee Longpre, Grant Pachoco's solo promoter. Grant's also here on YouTube, along with Bucky749, Brad Plays 81, and Dave Little's Heartland Championship Wrestling. All here on YouTube. I'm back on Twitch every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Check that out if you'd like. Follows are free. I don't know why people are afraid of Twitch, but it's it's free. So yeah, check that out. And we'll see you guys next time.
Night, everyone.
We'll see you soon, unless you're a Yankee fan.
Later.